What is up, guys? I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're taking on some r/EntitledPeople with r/EntitledParents thrown in as well. If you're new here, please consider hitting that like, that subscribe and maybe that notification bell if you enjoy the content, of course, and let's get straight into today's stories. Much love, guys. Our first story is from Roundtree. Another Karen assumes young people can't be disabled. So context, I'm 20 years old, typical blonde hair, blue eyes, relatively innocent looking girl. I'm also disabled. I have a condition which no doctors can diagnose, but basically my ribs, or the cartilage surrounding them, have become really inflamed and excruciatingly painful. It gets to the point that several times a week, sometimes several times a day, my ribs are sending so many pain signals to my brain that it stops telling my lungs to breathe. It's a relatively logical thought process. Breathing equals pain. Pain equals bad. Let's just not breathe then. But as you can imagine, it causes a lot of issues. Despite not being able to turn at my waist or bending down to pick something up without crying in pain, I now have to focus on breathing to make sure that I don't accidentally suffocate myself. Now, the bit you all want to hear. I live in the UK and my main mode of transport is the bus. This is mainly because they have great seating for disabled people and it means I don't have to walk far in my condition. So, I'm having a flare up and not able to breathe without specifically thinking to push my lungs in and out. It's also extremely painful. Imagine wearing a corset with metal pipes sticking into your body and every breath you take in, the pipes dig deeper into your flesh. You're pretty much there. I somehow managed to get on board, show the bus driver my return ticket and practically fall onto the disabled chairs at the front of the bus. Now, in the UK, these chairs are called priority seats and you have to give them to disabled, elderly or pregnant people. It's a great system. Enter Karen. She strolls onto the bus, bleached hair messed from the wind and a coat looking rather dishevelled. She doesn't even look at the bus driver as she hands her ticket over, her glare resting on me the entire time. To save time, OP is me, K is Karen, and NL is the nice lady who comes to my aid. Karen says, "Could I have that seat please?" Me, barely able to breathe, let alone speak loudly. "Sorry, I need it, and she cuts me off. "It's a priority seat, you're supposed to give it to people more in need than yourself." "But I am in need, there are plenty of other seats, please," and she cuts me off again. "You're not in need, you clearly aren't pregnant, and you're certainly not old." I say, "No, but I am disabled." Karen rolls her eyes. "Of course you are. I know you young people like to identify with things nowadays, but you can't just say that you're disabled." "But I am." "Can I see a blue badge then please?" A sign you put in your car which allows you to park in a disabled bays and on double yellow lines. I said I don't drive, so I didn't ask for one. "Well, isn't that convenient?" Karen then proceeds to pull me up off the chair. I block one of her arms. My boyfriend is a black belt and has taught me some self-defense for situations just like this. It happens surprisingly often, but miss her other arm that grabs my shirt around my waist and pulls. Her fist collides with my ribs and I scream. It hurts so freaking much that I am now crying and curled up in agony. The nice lady says, "Jesus Christ, you moron!" Karen looks smug as she thinks a lady is siding with her. The nice lady says, "Are you okay? Do I need to call an ambulance or the police?" Karen now looks confused. Me between sobs. I just want to go home. I am now close to having a panic attack. Unsurprisingly, my own body failing me countless times has led to some pretty bad anxiety, and I just want to get back to my support dog who had stayed home while I was at uni because the UK still don't see mental health as real health. Karen says, "Well, that was your own fault. Can I have the seat now?" To which the nice lady says, "Sit down and shut up before I ask you to be escorted from the bus." The bus driver is now looking up, wondering what the raised voices are about. Karen says, "But she's lying, she's not disabled. Look at her, she's clearly disabled. Sit down before you embarrass yourself anymore." "But she's too young to be disabled, she can't be disabled." Karen now looks slightly panicked as she realises that the entire bus is tutting at her. I say, "My stop is coming up." It wasn't, but I was too anxious to stay in that environment. The nice lady says, "Okay sweetie, we'll get you to your stop." Nice lady then glares at Karen and points to a chair. I swear, if I hadn't been in so much pain, I would have been laughing so hard. Karen, now rather resembling a beetroot, well, she didn't need to make so much of a fuss. The nice lady then turns around and says, "You practically attacked her." As in pain and as anxious as I was, I did think it was a bit of an exaggeration. "You're lucky she doesn't want to sue you for harassment or something, or physical abuse. I wish I could use you for sheer ignorance." Karen starts to open her mouth, but at this point, the bus driver is about to get out of his chair to sort the situation out, and Karen's skinny little bottom meets her chair before you can say entitled people. Nice lady then persuades me to stay until my actual stop and chats to me on my way home. Me still crying and just trying to breathe but smiling along to her stories. When I get home, I lie straight on the floor and give my dog so many cuddles while he gives me DPT. This next story is from Akio Amadeo. Karen wants me to buy her groceries. This happened when I was a cashier at Walmart. I honestly love working there when I was able, but every now and then you get the most rude and entitled people walk in like they own Walmart. This was a few years ago, and at the time I didn't even realise this was a Karen encounter, but it's oh so obvious to me now. It wasn't a particularly busy day, just a regular semi-slow midweek, and a young mother with 3 small children proceeded to come through my line. A sweet young mother. She had all the basics: milk, bread, cheese, some sandwich meat, fruits, veggies. Not one thing in her purchases was frivolous, not even soda, just some juice. She was using WIC, a government aid program meaning women, infants, children, and had food stamps as well. It wasn't something uncommon. I was very used to processing these purchases, and it's not difficult at all. Unfortunately, when she swiped her food card, it was at its max, and she was about $7 short of the needed amount. She was looking at her items and trying to decide what she and her kids could do without, and the way she was tearing up made my heart go out to her. "Mom, don't worry, I can cover the $7, it's not that big of a deal," I said, reaching into my purse I kept behind the counter and pulling out the remainder to pay in cash. This actually did make her cry, but I told her it was okay, as it wasn't that much, and I personally knew from experience what it was like when you had very little money. Thankfully, I didn't have to also worry about feeding 3 small children, as well as myself at that time in my life. The lady was very gracious and extremely kind and thankful as she went on her way. She stopped at customer service, which was right across the way, about 10 feet for some reason or another, but I just focused on the next person in line, which happened to be our entitled Karen. This woman was large, nearly hitting the aisle rows, and had the classic haircut and attitude that I had come to realise now is Karen. But at the time, we just called them our difficult customers. I can recognise them without them even opening their mouths, and we know nothing will make them happy, so just get them at the store as soon as possible. I go through the normal greeting. "How are you? Did you find everything you were looking for?" etc. But she just huffs and continues to explain to me that she will never shop at Walmart again and how terrible our store is. Almost as if there's something I can do for her at this point. She's leaving. What could I possibly do now? I just shut my mouth and continue scanning her items, as her total ends up being a little over $300. Not uncommon, very easy to spend a large amount in Walmart. I tell her the total and she gives me this weird look all of a sudden. "What do you mean $300? She asked in a rather shrill voice. "Your due payment, ma'am. You need to pay your balance for your items." I was confused. She was acting like she had never gone shopping before in her entire life. "Why should I pay? You paid for the other woman's purchase. I saw you do it!" She began screaming at this point, making me wince, and we caught the attention of a few other people. "No, ma'am, I didn't. I paid for a few dollars that she was short on. I was just being kind to someone in need, and even if I had paid for her entire purchase, I could do that in good faith," I said. The lady before this one was buying food for her and her children. It wasn't even name brand or special, just basic food. This woman was buying cookies, candy, beer, movies. It was all needless stuff aside from some TV dinners. There was really nothing that seemed needed. Even the TV dinners seemed kinda indulgent. Oh, I see how it is. Some poor single mother on government aid deserves to have her things paid for. She's nothing but a drain on society, and she should be ashamed of herself. Probably a dumb teenage girl getting knocked up and can't afford her own things, she said, huffing. I was appalled at what she had said, and what was worse, the woman I helped out was right there and heard everything this horrible woman said. I wanted to tell her it was okay, but she just hung her head and quickly left at this point. There was no need to shame anyone like that who is struggling. Listen to me, I'm sorry you feel that way, but I'm not paying for your things. I'm not going to help you pay for your things either. You can either pay or I will call management. I said as calmly as possible, although inside I was fuming. In truth, I already typed in the code to alert them to come to my register. So easy to get them involved, and since it wasn't busy, they came over quickly. Of course, when management came over, she began this tirade how I was being racist and verbally abusive towards her, and they should pay for her things as compensation for being verbally assaulted by me. I'd been working at Walmart for over 5 years at this point, and I wasn't about to let this lady get away with this. I said, "No, that never happened. She is lying to you. I refused to pay for her purchase, so she verbally abused another customer and is still refusing to pay for her things," I said. My manager looked at my register, and sure enough, no payment has been made. "Mom, our employees are not responsible for your purchases," he said. "Suspend the transaction and I'll handle her at customer service." Suspending the transaction is a way to save the purchase ticket, even though nothing has been paid out. You can scan it later to receive payment. We did this so we could keep my line moving. Later I spoke to my manager about it. He did have to tell me to never help pay for someone again while on duty, as situations like this could happen again, and it was like pulling teeth to get this lady to pay for her things because of my generosity. He wasn't angry, just didn't want another incident like this to occur, which I understood, but it did make me a little disheartened that I could get into trouble the next time I wanted to help someone out. Sad that Karens ruin the generosity of others. Our next story is from Shy Girl Turned Sassy. Entitled Mummy says, "Don't buy chocolates, it's upsetting my kid." This happened about an hour ago. I was grocery shopping and decided to pick up a few bars of chocolates. That's when I heard the ear-piercing scream of what can only be an entitled kid. He looked like he was somewhere between 5 and 6 years of age. He began to violently pull on his mother's arm, pointing at my chocolate bars and yelling at her to buy him some. The entitled mum says, "Did you have to pick that up in front of him?" I said, what? "Can't you see it's upsetting my child?" "Well, that's a you problem," EM said in between trying to get a demon spawn to act like a human being. "You need to put them back. My son only started demanding chocolates when he saw you take them. Just put them back. Now. You can get some later. You shouldn't make kids jealous." I just smiled at her and approached the chocolate shelves, but instead of putting them back, I actually took a few more. It earned me a death glare from EM and earned EM another round of tantrums from EK. Petty, yes. Satisfying, hell yes. Our next story is from Luca Ajax 00. "Do not try and make me babysit your baby, or I will remove you indefinitely from my life." My brother and his psycho wife asked me the other day to babysit their children, and I said no. I work a 9-to-5 job and do extracurricular stuff afterwards, that's more important. To which his psycho wife said, "You're going to babysit your nephew and nieces because we're on our way to your place right now, and you're just going to have to fucking deal with it." Which I then replied, "Go ahead and try," and promptly got into my car and left my place of residence and did not come back until later. I already had things to do. The next morning my neighbour next door said that a woman was at my door with her baby and 2 little girls for an hour and a half knocking on the doors and windows just trying to get in. To which I called my brother and was absolutely livid and told him not to let his wife do that shit. Turns out they wanted me to watch their kids so they could go out bar hopping until 2 AM and not have me return their children until 10 AM. I've told him and my family I'm child free. Everyone seems to leave me alone about it except for this bitch. She has legit called me irresponsible and a man-child for not wanting to have kids when I first told my family about it. Our next story is from Flying Donkey Kong 69. Entitled Parents try to kick me out of my room. I hate using abbreviations, so figure out who says what on your own. I've done my best to make it as easy to follow as possible. I'm currently taking classes away from home, and since I don't like the idea of living out my car, I rented a room at a nearby bed and breakfast that houses students. Great owners, amazing rooms with private bathrooms, fast Wi-Fi, free to use state-of-the-art kitchen, and above all else, affordable. Of course, because the place I'm staying at is a B&B first, the owners request that I stay flexible during tourist seasons, which means I keep things at a ready-to-move status. Tourist patrons pay way more to stay here, so they take priority over room choice. Thankfully, tourist season only lasts from September 1st to October 22nd, and from February 1st to the 18th, and doesn't come without compensation. The owners have temporary rooms in their private residence, they call the retreat, set up for students who have to move for tourists, as well as have a contract stating that if any items left in our rooms damaged/stolen by tourists, it will be fixed/replaced. Well, it's tourist season again, thanks to nearby town's winter and Valentine's festivals that happen every February. I've been moved once so far, but it wasn't too bad. The owner called all the students into the common room to explain the room situation for the coming days. Alrighty then, housemate 1 and housemate 2, you're going to stay the night up at the retreat. OP, you're the lucky one who gets to stay this time. Mind your manners and just do what you do. Later that day, I'm playing on my Xbox when I'm caught off guard as my door swings open and a family of 3 pour in. The father sets down a couple of luggage bags while the kids start running around the room. The mother takes one look at me and says, "I was told you'd be moved out by now. Why are you still here?" I politely tell her that they may have the wrong room and that mine wasn't selected for patron use. "That's ridiculous. I specifically requested this room. You better leave now or I'll be having a strongly worded conversation with the owner." I ask her to give me a second as I call up the owner. She gives me a, whatever. The owner picks up and I double check with him about my room. He confirms that they have the wrong room and that he'll be here shortly to work it out. I relay this information to the mother, who doesn't accept this. "This is stupid. I asked for this room and I paid the fee, so you got to leave now." The kid finally notices my Xbox. "Awesome, we have an Xbox while we can stay here. Can I play it, Mum? Please." The mum agrees, totally ignoring the fact that she has no right to allow her child to use someone else's things. I keep the controller away from the kid and say that if I'm leaving, I'll be taking my Xbox with me. Her brat did not like the answer and began to wail like a banshee. "Now look what you've done. You've made my baby cry. He's going to be in a bad mood for the rest of our stay now. You better hope the owner is forgiving, because he's going to get an earful when he shows up." All this is going on, and not a word has been breathed from the dad. He just stands there behind his wife, arms crossed and with a mildly discomforted look on his face. The owner shows up, and it goes like this. "Hello folks, sorry for the mix-up, your room is..." And he gets cut off. "Taken up by this punk, we know, but this is the room I asked for, and this is the room we're getting, or we're fine somewhere else." "Mum, your bill states that you asked for room 4. This is room 5. I've already made the arrangements for room 4 to be used, so if you could just please follow me, we'll get your family set up." "No, this room has an Xbox video game entertainer." Yes, she called it that. "And my son wants to use it while we stay here. It's this room or nothing." You'll be hard pressed to find another place with vacancy during the festival. Besides, it's down the hall and it's just as nice as this room. "Does it have an Xbox?" "I don't think." It gets cut off again. "Then it's this room, or we take the Xbox with us." I interject, saying that no one is taking or using my Xbox without my permission. "Why do you even have that thing anyways? You look like an adult. Act like one and quit playing childish video games." "Mum, it's room 4 or nothing, and I can assure you, it's not going to be easy to find a new place to stay. Even if you did, it won't be as nice as here." "Fine, I'll take it, but don't expect a review over 3 stars. She stomps out of the room, wailing brat and pack mule husband in tow. The owner gives me a yeesh look before apologising and closing the door. That was 2 days ago, and they're still down the hall from me for another 2 days. The kid has had at least 4 very audible temper tantrums since then. God have mercy. Our next story is from lovely lolbit24. I was called by my sister's high school because some kid grabbed her inappropriately and his entitled mum was defending him. Recently I was called to go to my sister's school because apparently some kid grabbed her butt and she slapped him. I arrived at the school and the kid and my sister are already there. The kid's mum arrived soon after and started scolding my sister for hitting her son. I told her that the kid had no business touching my sister and that he deserved it. She then rants on and on about how her kid doesn't know any better. He's 15 to 16. I tell her that if he doesn't know any better, then she has failed as a parent. The principal then says that this behaviour will not be tolerated and that he's going to get expelled, as he has done this to several different girls. After that, my sister and I left as the day was almost over and I didn't want to have to drive all the way back to the house, then leave soon after. Our next story is from Ink Pirate. EM demands to know what I talk about in therapy. She doesn't like the answer at all. This happened yesterday and I'm still in shocked amusement about it. I honestly thought the next time I'd be writing Entitled Parents, it would be about one of the EMs I have come across in the wild. But alas, my own wonderful EM decided to let out her entitled side again, so here I am. Some of you may have read about her in my previous post. She wasn't the main subject of the post, but she definitely held her own. For those interested, warning, it's a long story. To the story. People involved: me, my mother, Karen. If you've read my previous post, you know that Karen is just delusional, crazy, a truly repulsive person, entitled, barely human, pick any or all of the above and add your own as needed. And that I have very little contact with her, with good reason. We do speak on the phone occasionally, around once a month, because I don't like remaining resentful and holding grudges. Hate breeds hate, and all that jazz, and I like being happy. Well, the day before yesterday was one of the days I decided to give her a quick call to check if she was still alive, etc. During the conversation, I made a passing remark about having an appointment with my therapist, at which point she was very quiet indeed for a while, and then she started questioning me about the therapist while trying to sound like she's completely indifferent about it. After getting absolutely nowhere in her questioning, she announced that she's driving to see me the next day, yesterday. Now understand, this is completely unheard of and also completely unwelcome. We live in different cities, it's a long drive and I just don't like her company. It's also been well over 2 years since she's come to visit, so this was more than a little odd. I explained to her that I couldn't meet her yesterday and I didn't want to, and that I was working, so I couldn't anyway. She completely ignored me and told me that I can make time to see my mother and that she was coming anyway. I kept asking her what was the point of her coming, a valid question in our relationship. We don't do social visits. And she said, does she need a reason to come and visit her son? I replied, yes, I got better things to be doing, so if it's not important, what's the point? She obviously just kept ignoring me, told me what time she'd be arriving the next day, so unfortunately, I was getting a visit from Karen. I've lived where I do now for about 3 to 4 years, and on the few times she has been to the city I live in, she's got this weird obsession of trying to get into my house. She's not welcome. She always tries different methods like, I want to get you something for your place, let's go and see what you need, or how's the view from your place, can I see, or can I use your toilet quickly? So naturally, I don't let her. I've got nothing to hide from her, I genuinely don't care what she thinks about any aspect of my life, but I grew up with literally zero privacy. She, and my dad, would go through all my things constantly when I was younger. Bags, pockets, phones, room, etc, etc. So now when she's trying to do something that she has no right to do, I take great enjoyment from stopping her doing those things. And I'm always sure to politely let her know the reason she's being treated like this is because of how she treated me for so long, and it's simply a taste of her own medicine. The look on her face is genuinely priceless when I do this. The time arrives and she lets me know she's outside, so I go down and meet her. Surprise, surprise, she had reason to try and get inside. This particular plan to get into my place was that she had brought with her loads of her second-hand house stuff that she didn't want anymore, and neither do I. 2 big bags and a box, and she told me she brought me some useful things for my place, so can I hold the door while she carries it in? I said, don't worry about it, you watch the car, I'll carry it up. There was no reason to watch the car at all. She says, no, it's heavy, I'll carry it and help you unload it all. I said, if it's heavy, all the more reason for me to carry it. Anyway, what even is it all? Don't be silly, I need the exercise. It's a load of old stuff from my house that I don't want anymore. It'd be very useful for you. She has zero knowledge of the things that I own. I said I got everything I need, thanks. I've brought it all this way, why are you rejecting presents? As I said, I don't need anything, and I don't want things that you are effectively throwing out. Shall we stop wasting time and go and talk about whatever it is you want to discuss? She says, yes, so open the door, let's put these things inside and go. I said, you know you're not coming inside, so either put them back in the car or I'll take them inside, then we can go. She realised at this point, this plan of hers wasn't going to work either, so I just left the things on the floor and got back in the car. I took them inside, hopped in the car with a big smile and said, see, that wasn't too bad, was it? The look on her face nourished my soul. So we arrived at the cafe, sit down and order some stuff, etc. I cut right to it because I really do have work to be doing, and well, spending time with this woman is close to being the very last thing I would choose to be doing with my days. I say, so what was so important that you had to drive here then? She said, when we spoke the other day, you said you were seeing a therapist. Yeah, and? Why do you need to see a therapist? And I say, why is that your business? I'm your mother. I have the right to know everything about you. You really don't. Just tell me why you're seeing a therapist. I say because I think it's a healthy thing for me to be doing. But what do you talk about while you're there? I really don't have to tell you anything about it at all. I'm your mother. I have a right to know what's wrong with my son. I couldn't help but laughing a little at that comment. You've never cared what's wrong with me, ever, and usually you're what's wrong with me. How can you say that? Just tell me what you talk about in therapy. Okay, I'll tell you a little, but you won't like it at all. The only reason I was willing to tell her anything is because I knew the effect it would have on her. She says, I'm an adult, I can take it. So I say fine, well we speak about my childhood a lot. What about it? One thing is the fact that I don't have a single happy memory from when I was younger involving you or Dad. Dad's dead now. The only happy memories from when I was young involve my dog, my friends, and playing football. That's literally it. She says, I can't believe you're lying to people about that. Lying? You're joking, right? You made my life miserable. Why do you think I moved out so young and stopped speaking to you for so long? She says, hormones. Jesus Christ. I say, if I'm lying, please tell me about these happy memories from my childhood that I'm now blocking out. She says, so I take it you don't remember skipping down the street with me holding hands? Now, I was genuinely interested as to what she was going to say here, but this made me laugh out loud. No, I definitely don't remember skipping down the road with you. Now that I think about it, I can barely remember a moment we've walked down the street together at all. The truth. When was this? I must have been about 5? She says, you were 4. Seriously? See, I've told you got happy memories with me. I say, okay, well first of all, if I don't remember something, then it's not a happy memory, is it? And also, this can't have been a regular thing. She says, oh no, we did it once or twice, but it's a lovely memory. Once or twice, you do understand that one little thing from when I was 4 doesn't overwrite the years of shit you put me through, don't you? She was silent. Because it doesn't at all, and the fact that the happy memory from my childhood that you can think of happened once or twice when I was 4 proves my point. Ugh, you're being dramatic. You're delusional, but I don't hold it against you anymore, hence why I was still speaking. There's no point in talking to you about these things because you deny it, blame it on me, say it wasn't that bad, etc. That's why I thought it was pointless you coming today. So, if that's all you want to talk about, then I'm going to go, because I've got stuff I need to finish. She says, okay fine, but please stop lying in therapy about me. I say I'll keep being completely honest about you to my therapist and my friends. If you didn't want to be spoken about badly, you should have tried being a decent person. It's too late for that now. She just sits there staring at me. I say with a big smile, well this was lovely, thanks for coming, drive safe on your way back. I paid the bill and walked out the cafe. Sorry this ended up long, apparently I find it quite therapeutic writing about my DNA donor for you lovely folks. Edit, thanks so much for all the support and well wishes everybody, I honestly really appreciate it. Just to answer an issue that keeps popping up, I know that going no contact with her seems like the reasonable and best thing to do, and it's something I did do for many years, no contact at all. It was my decision to reach out again, and I know it might seem ridiculous/stupid, but it's completely on my terms. It's impossible for her to affect my life negatively now. I have zero tolerance for any of her bullshit, and I will call her out immediately on it. I barely see her at all, no holidays, birthdays, etc. But I would have no problem at all cutting her completely from my life again, if that's what I decided was best. But I'm good with how the relationship is, for now. I appreciate all the concern everyone, but honestly, life's good for me now. I'm living how I want to, and I'm happy. This encounter didn't affect me negatively at all, apart from an hour of my life that I won't get back. I just find her attitude and her actions entertaining now. Our next story is from Pakiro. Ian thinks she can swap her children's father as easy as she can her boyfriend. Sorry if there are former issues on mobile. My story begins about 8 years ago when I started seeing my now ex, EM. She has a daughter that we will call Sally. EM and I got together, it seemed perfect except for one thing. Sally's dad seemed to never want to see his daughter. Me being the caring person that I am, was raised by a step-parent, gladly stepped up and became daddy. Time went on, we had a son. More time went on and I started seeing how manipulative she is and all around crazy. Decided to break it off with her. 1 month later, she tells me she's pregnant, and being the logical person I am, I know babies don't save relationships, but was there for every step of the way during pregnancy, and gladly had both my sons every other weekend and holidays, as well as 4 weeks during the summer. Enter her new boyfriend. I noticed my now 2-year-old son is calling her boyfriend daddy, and after talking to her about this and trying to reason with her that she's confusing our youngest son, it clicks in my head that I've overcome with guilt, as I now realise I was used to push her daughter's father out of the picture, and she's now trying to do the same to myself. Luckily he wasn't hard to track down. I spoke with him on the phone about everything that happened and apologised over and over again for being blind enough to be able to be used like that, and I'm now letting him see his daughter after 7 years because I was smart enough to get a parent plan, and his daughter comes over to my house with my sons. EM doesn't know yet we are both taking her to court and are doing whatever we can to get our children away from her. We'll update if people want and respond to any questions and comments that I can. Wowzers, I hope you enjoyed today's stories as much as I did. Bit of a roller coaster. And which was your favourite stories from today's bunch? My favourite, it has to be the first one, I'm afraid. The Karen assumes young people can't be disabled. That is just such the Karen mentality, all bundled up there nicely. It blows my mind that they're that because they can't see a disability. Yeah, it's just so Karen, isn't it really? If you've made it this far in today's stories, put in the comment below, mix it in a comment somewhere, surprise me that Karen is a plonker. I love it when you Americans have to use English slang, it just tickles me. Anyway guys, as always, I hope you really did enjoy these stories. If you did, would you please kindly hit that like button, maybe the share. Oh, I've never mentioned that one before. If you fancy sharing, that will tickle me as well. Thank you very much for being here, guys. Much love to you, and I will see you in the next one. Take care now.